I think the most interesting thing about press briefings at the Synod on Synodality, just came out of the last one of the week, is the fact that they're all on offense. They're all very aggressive in trying to ram something home, which doesn't make any sense, because if they were truly just addressing problems in the Catholic Church, well, you know, you got the lack of Marian devotion, lack of belief in the real presence in South America. We need to work on that. Lack of catechesis. It really isn't a news story. So the only news story, the only thing that brings the press hall tonight was packed out journalists. The only thing that brings people to this event is the fact that the Catholic Church is surrendering. That's it. You know, that's it. So, for example, we have the final document now. Francis, there's not going to be anything else. This is it. This is the official document. And Francis had indicated early on there's no possibility of women deacons, right? So tonight, Vatican journalist Diane Montagna asked the question, so what's this in here? It looks like they're still talking women deacons in the document. The document's huge. I don't know how many thousands of words it is. Huge. Bohemian. And Cardinal Hollerich from Luxembourg says, well, you know, after just this random word-generating nonsense, he used every single one. This guy's a champ. He used pathways, he used journey, he used experience, he used accompaniment, he used every one. He's now using experience as a noun. Anyway, that's her yeah, in a new way. But anyway, so he says, yeah, of course, it's not yes on deacons, it's not no on women deacons. And that's the beautiful thing about the synodal process. We're just going to have to wait and see what the Spirit wants us to do. So the women deacons absolutely still coming, because ultimately what they want, of course, is women priests. And then he just out of nowhere says, you know, and liturgically, we have the Mass of Paul VI still. Doesn't even mention the Latin Mass, of course. The Mass of 2,000 years. Doesn't even mention it. We have the Mass of Paul. But you know, he says, lots of people, they don't find that that liturgy reaches them. It doesn't touch them. It doesn't fulfill them. And so some edits, some changes, some adaptation is going to be necessary liturgically. So then I'm thinking, okay, so now they're going to do women deacons. We are also going to need, evidently, a new Mass. Where is this going to stop? It's not going to stop. You see? It's not going to stop. And that's just the whole point. So this is like the final stage, maybe, if you will, of the revolution that started at Vatican II. I mean, so think about 1965, right in this town, Second Vatican Council closed. And now you have the Synod in 2024 trying to finish the deal, trying to be the closer, if you will. Everything that they say, here's the thing that I feel like when you're sitting in the Vatican press office, you just want to stand up and scream, because you know what? Everything they say is a lie. Everything. I'm talking everything. There are no real issues here to address. They're not actually addressing anything that's real in the church today. They're just making things up, talking about this process so that ultimately they can just lull everybody to sleep. And it really works very well. Even in the Synod, in the press briefings themselves, you're like, it's so hard to listen to them, because they don't define anything. They don't talk about what the problem actually is. They don't talk about what they're addressing. It's just lunacy. So after a while you go, okay, is this incompetency or is it malice? Oh, it's got to be malice. The only possible way you could say it's not malice, it would be if you believe, like, they may be being sincere on one level being they want to destroy the old Catholic Church of Christendom. They want to destroy it, completely trash it. That they do want to do, so they can create this new thing, this catacomb-packed version of the Catholic Church where there are no really priests, the priesthood's gone. And that's the other thing that's so funny. They'll talk about, well, we need to have women priests, man, because there's these communities that just don't have any priests. Well, who did that? Whose fault is that? Tonight they actually told us. We actually heard from a cardinal of the Catholic Church that not only do they not have enough priests, they don't have enough faithful. They've trashed the church. And the way you can tell this is malice and not incompetency is because nobody's talking about what happened. Why don't you have any priests? Why don't you have any faithful? Why are all the churches closing? Why is it that less than 0.5% of all the Catholics in the world even know that the Synod on Synodality is happening here? You see, so you can use a little analogy, like it's a doctor who's looking at a patient in a bed full of, the patient's got lesions all over, open sores, pus, it's just a mess, and the doctor keeps putting Band-Aids on it like that, but he never talks about what the disease is. What happened? What happened to this poor person, right? That's what this is like, listening to them. And because they're not asking what happened to systemically cause the church to get this sick, where she's running out of priests and people, then you walk away and you say, uh-oh, these guys are not genuine. These guys are liars. Because there's really no other, they're either liars or they're insane, you know? I don't know. This is just how, coming out of the press briefing today after a week of this nonsense, this is just where I'm at. Like, oh my gosh, it's over, humanly speaking. It is over. There has never been a time in the history of the church, in my opinion, where it's more important for faithful Catholics to understand the folks at the top are nuts. They're not going to help you. They're not going to provide any answers for you. So it's up to us to hang on until God intervenes, cleans out these Aegean staples, gets rid of these crazy SNL Monty Python characters who are running the church, and brings in real Catholics to start the process of restoration. Of course, that's going to happen. And then how do we know it's going to happen? I'll leave it with this. Here at midnight in Rome. How do we know it's going to happen? Because of the crazy fixation. There's two things that this church, this hierarchy, has really shown a powerful appetite to fix over the past few years. You know what they are? One of them's COVID. When COVID hit, these guys suddenly just showed the whole world they do know how to govern. They put 6 feet between everybody. They masked up the entire world. Everybody's wearing a mask. They closed all the churches down. They closed the pews, right? They took everything down. They vaccinated everybody. Remember? Get your vaccination. It's the only way out, right? They proved that they actually do know how to lead. They do know how to govern. They don't know how to sanctify, but they know how to lead and govern when they have to, right? Okay, so COVID was one that shows they do actually know how to do it when they want to, when they're trying to kiss up to the New World Order, folks. Number two, the other one, the reason that we know, is because of what they have been doing with the Latin Mass. Oh man, there's a specific. There's a specific. In the middle of all this, world wars, economic collapse, poverty, spiritual impoverishment, physical impoverishment, every single blight known to mankind going on in the world right now. And Francis, this guy who lives right over here behind this wall, he says, like the Grinch, right? How can I get those Whoville people to stop those Latin masses? Well, obviously, the Latin Mass presents a threat because it's real Catholicism, and everything happening at the Synod on Synodality is fake and gay Catholicism. That's all it is. You see? So the Latin Mass Catholicism, that represents the wake-up screaming nightmare of the Synod on Synodality Church of Accompaniment gang, because you know what it means? Oh no, it's happening, just like it happened so many times in history. The Catholic Church, the Catholic people rose up again out of the ashes, out of nowhere, and took it all back over again. That's what they've been looking for. That's what they're afraid of. So the Latin Mass movement represents, for Francis and company, all these old hippies here, represents that nightmare of, oh my gosh, it still isn't dead. The beast still lives, right? They have to find a way to kill it. So I think that for me, that's a very encouraging thing, because we're talking about a town full of addle-pated, nutty people that can't focus on anything. But they focus in laser precision on the Latin Mass. Why? Because it's a threat to this whole thing that's going on here. So I would say, friends, after a stultifying week here at the Synod, what we need to do, we still have one more day. We're gonna go to the Papal Mass tomorrow and see what happens there. But what we need to do is be more convinced than ever before of the rightness of our cause. Say your prayers, pray your rosary, go to your Latin Mass, and be very confident. Sleep like a baby. You're absolutely on the right track, because everything going on here is insane and is evil and it is wrong, right? So you're on the right track. We're on the right track. And in the end, God's going to look at the people that saw through this nonsense. He's going to stand with those guys. And we're going to see a restoration. And God will restore his church in his good time. All we need to do is hang on. So God bless you all from Rome, from the Synod on Synodality, the last day of the Synod on Synodality. Crazy Twilight Zone Synod on Synodality. I'm Michael Matt for Remnant TV. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.